Hey guys, it's Mr. DeFelice. Today we're going to work on complementary and supplementary angles. So far we've learned about adjacent angles. Now we can add complementary and supplementary to our vocabulary as well. So I'm going to read through this, and I want you to highlight the parts that I highlight, and then we'll try some practice problems. So, complementary and supplementary angles. A pair of pears and another pear. No, not the delicious sweet fruit your mother made you eat when you were a baby. These pairs are special because they add to convenient numbers, and if you learn them and look for them, they can make solving much harder problems a piece of cake, or pear cobbler if you're in the mood. Let's look at them. Alright, so our first pair is complementary angles, and they're two angles that add up to equal 90 degrees. So they can be separated like this, where this angle is 30 degrees and this one's 60 degrees, so 30 plus 60 is 90, or they can be adjacent, which we talked about last week, where they're joined at the hip like this. Remember, adjacent angles share a ray in the middle, and then they share that same vertex. In the second example, the right angle box is a dead giveaway that these are complementary angles. So when you see this box, remember that tells you it's a right angle, so that it measures 90 degrees. When you're solving problems later on, look for it. You will know that the two angles add to 90 degrees. More on that later. You should know that the ones joined at the hip are called adjacent, and we talked about that last week. Alright, supplementary angles are two angles that add to 180 degrees. Then they can be separated like this. So we have one that's 120 degrees and one that's 60 degrees. 60 plus 120 is 180. Or they also could be adjacent, joined at the hip, like this. Remember, adjacent means they share a common ray and a common vertex. It should be noted that the word supplementary contains most of the word supplement, which means an addition, like a vitamin supplement. You're not getting enough vitamins because you don't like pears and prefer hot dogs and potato chips, so you have to supplement your vitamins by taking a vitamin supplement. The supplement adds to the small amount contained in such nutritionally poor but tasty treats so you don't get scurvy or osteoporosis. So supplement means more. Supplementary angles add to a bigger amount, 180, not 90 degrees. Got it? And one last pair is called a linear pair. And this is just a fancy name for supplementary angles that are joined at the hip or that are adjacent. You will see these all over the place in the rest of geometry. It's critical that you know that a linear pair is two angles that add to 180 degrees. Fortunately, this is easy to remember because a line, the word linear, has the word line in it. It also means like a line, is just a straight angle that is 180 degrees, and a pair is two. So it's a pair of angles that make a line or 180 degrees. Here are a few pictures of linear pairs. So anytime you have two angles on a straight line next to each other, sharing a common ray and vertex, this is called a linear pair. Automatically, a linear pair has two angles that add up to 180 degrees, because as we learned, a straight angle or a straight line is 180 degrees when you measure it. Okay, so let's apply this knowledge to some problems. So go over to number 12. Number 12 is done for us. I'm going to walk through the steps with you. For each of these angles, they're asking you to find the missing angle. So you need to find the measure of the missing angle. And you're going to use your knowledge of supplementary and complementary angles to do that. The first part is to write down the relationship or the formula for the angle. So here I have two complementary angles. The definition of complementary angles, remember, if you go back to the front, is that they are two angles that add to 90 degrees. So I'm going to take my two angles here, because they're complementary because of the right angle symbol here, and just add them and make them equal 90. Now this is just algebra from last year. You solve by subtracting 33 from both sides, and you find your missing angle. In number 13, these angles are in a straight line, so they're supplementary. So the formula or the equation for this line of these angles is y plus 134 equals 180. Because these two angles, because they're supplementary, they're a linear pair, equal 180. And then you can solve. So I get 46 degrees. Because we're dealing with angles, you have to put it down as degrees. And then on the bottom, remember with these sheets, you can look and see If you can find your answer as a way to check if you're doing it correctly. Okay, so work on these problems. Set up the relationship. Look for that right angle symbol for complementary angles. Set up your equation, and then undo by subtracting, and then you should be able to find your answers. Check with Mr. D or Miss P for an answer key, and please work on numbers 12 through 25. Okay, and good luck.